Chris on the first night that I went out with Cindy. So I got to meet all of her family on essentially our first date. So, and that memory will stick with me forever because Chris essentially opened his doors to me and treated me like a son-in-law from the first time I ever met him. Going over to his house, and you usually feel like, oh my, meeting the date's parents, you're very nervous, you're wanting to make a good impression. From the moment I met him, it felt like I'd known him for years.
Dad has always been the parent and grandparent that plays. Even when my kids were small and they would be with my parents, my dad was always the one on the floor, playing whatever games they wanted to play, setting up track and field events in the backyard, and playing touch football in the front yard. It was Dad always in the center of those. He was always the quarterback, though. He would never let anyone else be the quarterback, but he was always the one that was one to be right in the center of everyone.
Chris was great as a father. He played with the kids. He got down on the floor with them. He taught them as much as he could.
One thing I remember about Chris, I guess the way that he influenced me more than anything, is his passion for doing something completely and correctly. For him, the job was never done until it was done perfectly to the best of his ability. I think Chris, more than anyone, taught me to not accept it can't be done when I came against some really tough issue.
You gotta beat somebody. That's what he always said. Come on, Mark, you gotta beat somebody. And I wasn't really good, so I heard that a lot. But it was very inspiring.
I remember one story when we were all out at Washburn. Oh my gosh, and it was so hot. And we had to go in to the building to bring out the high jump pits. And I'm a high jumper. So everyone was moaning and groaning because they didn't want to do it. It was too hot. And he did that thing where he puts his hands behind his back and he rises up and down on his toes, and I said, the speech is coming. And he let us have it and told us that was the first time I heard him refer to it as a track family. And so that made me realize that there are other people who can care about you other than just your parents and your brothers and sisters. And I took that away, and because of what I learned from Chris, I became the volleyball mom, the Girl Scout mom, and now I'm a social worker, and I work with kids who are in foster care. So he taught me to give back.
If the kids' parents were brain surgeons or from the working class, it mattered not because Chris held them in the same respect. And they didn't always have to win to be a success in his mind.
One time it had to be like 3,000 degrees outside, and we're practicing at Topeka West track, and everybody was just sweating, trying not to move too much. And one guy, he showed up in almost like a rain suit. It was like, full long sleeves, long pants and everything, and he was out there warming up. And everybody was kind of just looking at him. And so Coach, gathered all the athletes together, and he started to talk to us about today's, warm-ups. And then he looked over at Michael, who was wearing the jogging suit in the 95-degree weather, and he was like, he always had that So Coach Rich was like, Michael, are you expecting rain today? And everybody was just already giving Michael a bunch of grief for wearing all that, so we all bust up laughing.
I think his experiences as a child and the environment that he grew up in without having parents, losing them to death at a very young age, made him who he was in his adult life. And he made it a mission then to make sure that every child that wanted to participate in sports, regardless of their athletic ability, had that opportunity, and they always had someone there coaching them on.
The older I got, I kind of understood how, time is very, very precious, and I spent a lot of time with Coach Chris, and he spent a lot of time with all these athletes and kids. So that means that he really cared about us, and I would do anything for him.
One time we had a date, and this was before Bermuda shorts were really worn on the campus, and he came to pick me up in long pants, and the house mother was at the door, of course, and she wanted to meet him, and I introduced them. And as we left, we got out on the porch, he started taking his pants down, and it scared me to death. I was going, "What are you doing?" And he had on Bermuda shorts. I was, really amazed.
Oh, the one that comes to mind, of course, which has been repeated I don't know how many times. Chris teaching Roger how to throw a shot put, which he threw through the neighbor's dining room window, closed, onto her dining room table. And when Chris, I never really knew, did a story get better when Chris told it? Probably a little. But when he would tell that story, it was a Mission Impossible story. He would be Tom Cruise throwing a massive projectile, so there would be crashing glass and china and a splintering table, and it was always a great story. But it always ended happily, like all the other stories.
We were going into a Lowry's restaurant, which is a pretty famous restaurant there. And we didn't have reservations, and there were 3 or 4 of us guys, and he went in, he says, "Reservations for Dr. Christensen." And the guy looked at him and said, "I'm sorry, we don't have any." He said, "Well, I don't understand why," and of course, he had the gift of gab like no one else had. But he actually talked us into a table at Lowry's in downtown Chicago, and I know that probably people were waiting on reservations for months.
His kindness and his gentle manner in teaching. There just wasn't anything that damaging in his relationship with his students. It was just all, "I'm here to help you." There's no such thing as a mistake. It's just an opportunity to get better the next time.
Being around him, it just made me a better person, and I got to do things that I never would have.
Seeing the fun that he had and his face light up when he was able to participate and be involved with things with the kids, that's something that I'll always remember.
It was a man that was very busy. He touched a lot of lives.
He really taught me what it is to be a good person. And I would like to tell Karen and Brian and Eric and Cindy, now that I'm older and I have my own family, I can't imagine what you guys gave up loaning him to us like you did. How much we appreciate that, I appreciate that, and how many lives he truly, truly changed.